Marty. I use they, them pronouns, and as you may guess, I'm going to teach you how to make banana bread. So first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you're going to wash your hands. Second thing, we're going to start getting our ingredients together. We are going to need butter, sugar, and bananas to begin with. You're going to want your butter softened. I overshot on that one a little bit. But one of the things with banana bread that's nice is that it really doesn't matter if it's a little wetter than usual. And that's pretty consistent with loaves in general, which is what banana bread is. It's a loaf. So I'm going to use my rubber spatula to get that right in the bowl. I'm going to try and get as much as possible. It's okay if it's not exact, but you want to get as much as you can. So, Alright. You don't need a mixer to do this. I'm just doing it in a mixer because it's faster. Alright, so 1 stick of butter, half a cup of butter. The second thing you need is 1 cup of sugar. And you're going to mix your sugar and your butter before you combine anything else, really. So we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to pour this over the bowl because I'm not feeling super lucky. I've got some clumps in my sugar right now. That's okay when you're doing it in a mixer because the mixer is pretty much going to beat up the sugar enough that it'll break down a little bit. But the only thing that it could be detrimental with is how much sugar you're actually putting in if it makes an air pocket in there, which is why it's so great to bake by weight. Big fan of baking by weight. Alright, so 1 cup of sugar. And then you're going to do what's called creaming them together. You're going to cream together the butter and the sugar. So you're going to mix it until it's one consistency. So I'm going to do that in my mixer. How about them Pats? I'm going to turn that up a little.
You like the Packers, Marty?
What?
You like the Packers?
Absolutely not. I like to win, so, you know. I don't particularly care about football in general, but I care about Massachusetts, so I care about the Patriots by extension, but like very begrudgingly. But yeah, so you can kind of see how it's still like kind of grainy. We want to get that so it's just a little less so. So we've got a much more even consistency now. The next thing we're going to add are our bananas. So we're going to do like 3 to 4 bananas. Usually I do 4 because I like it like really banana-y. But these are pretty big, so I'm going to do 3 today. So when you add your bananas, you want to make sure that they're really mashed before you put them in. So I'm going to mash them ahead of time in the same bowl that I melted the butter. Because number 1, I don't like to make a big mess. And number 2, that'll be a good way to get any butter that was left in there as well. So you want to make sure that they're really, really well mashed before you put them in, because otherwise you're going to end up with like chunks of banana kind of randomly throughout it. And that will not be as tasty or as evenly baked, because the bananas affect the texture because they are wet. These are our wet ingredients, butter, bananas, and eggs, and vanilla. But anytime you have like fruit, vegetables, something like that, and something that you're baking, that moisture in there can like really throw off the balance of something when it's baking. It can make it either not bake enough more often, or you know, if some fruit juice seeps out, it can make it like crack and burn because of the high sugar content, all sorts of stuff. So you want to be kind of careful when you're adding fruit or vegetables to something. Alright, so yeah, like that's nice and mashed, and then I'm going to add my other 2. I wanted to get that one first because it wasn't as gone as the other 2. I like making banana bread a lot because I don't really like bananas, and sometimes I forget that I don't like bananas, and I get bananas, and then they get pretty dark pretty quickly because I don't actually eat the bananas because I don't like bananas. But, you know, it works out nicely. But Yeah, and you want to start with bananas that are on the softer side. You can use newer bananas. I just wouldn't use like straight up green bananas. But you can use ones that are, you know, a little more fresh, but it'll take you longer. And also, as the bananas kind of get overripe like that, as they get like brown, they actually get a little bit sweeter, which is pretty great. And the softer they are, the easier they are to mash. Alright, ooh, this one's really soft. I got these bananas as a surprise gift from my friend who came by to give me some eggplant earlier, which was very nice of him. And then he gave me a bunch of other stuff too, including these very far gone bananas. Wow, this is harder to peel than I anticipated because it is so soft. Like, you can see how that's just flopping around. Alright, perfect. So yeah, like the gooier it is, the sweeter it's gonna be. So, you know, that would not be very fun to eat by itself, but it's gonna be perfect for this banana bread. Yeah, I know some people get like grossed out by bananas when they get like to that level, but I'm telling you, man, somebody's grossed out is somebody else's perfect breakfast with a little bit of cream cheese. Alright, yeah, that one got in there pretty quickly. Cool, cool, cool. So, now, I'm going to take my rubber spatula so I can get really nice and even swipe off the edge of it. And I'm just going to slide those in there. We're going to mix that together as well. And we're going to add a couple more ingredients. And one thing that you're going to want to do, especially if you're using a stand mixer or a hand mixer, which is the like one, that one, is you're going to want to use your rubber spatula to like swipe down the sides every so often, because, you know, the butter and the banana are two like pretty different consistencies, so they might not necessarily mix pretty well right away, and you don't want to end up having like stripes of different ingredients on their own, kind of not incorporated fully. So yeah, if you want to take a look, you can actually kind of see how like the banana is mixed in with some of the sugar and butter, but you still got like a pretty good chunk on the side. So I'm gonna get in there and I'm just gonna swipe the edge down. Yeah, perfect. I don't know how well you can see, but I'm just gonna get in there and like swipe on the bottom too. You know, if you're mixing by hand, banana bread's a pretty easy one to mix by hand. Again, I'm just using the stand mixer because I feel like it. But banana bread, when you do it by hand, you can kind of scrape it down as you're going, and that's much easier. But yeah, banana bread is a pretty like slack batter, so it is really easy to do by hand compared to other recipes like cookie dough, stuff like that that are a little thicker. I'm gonna crank that up just a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Alright, so next I'm going to add 2 eggs, which is not a whole lot for a loaf recipe comparatively, but the eggs are going to help bind everything together as it's baking. So 2 eggs. Mix that in as well. I was practicing with cracking the egg with one hand the other day because I like to think I'm fancy every once in a while, and I can do it, but one of those things where like not necessarily worth the effort it takes to do, unless you get really good at doing it quick. But you know, high effort, small yield. Alright, so that's pretty mixed in nice and well. I'm going to add my vanilla, which is going to be the last of my wet ingredients. So again, 1 cup of sugar, half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick, 3 or 4 like pretty far gone bananas, 2 eggs, and then we're going to do half a teaspoon of vanilla. Vanilla is a fun ingredient because you can get like really fancy with it if you want, but you know, if you're not feeling fancy, imitation vanilla extract from Target, Market Pantry, excuse me, is just fine. So we're gonna do half a teaspoon of that. I'm even gonna go a little bit over. So like a nice banana and vanilla combo. If you want to play around with the flavor of banana bread a little bit too, you could do almond extract, which would be kind of fun and add a little bit of nuttiness to it. Extracts are a really fun way to kind of play with the flavor of different things. So now that those are all in there, all the wet ingredients, we are gonna just mix this really, really well because we really want like one consistency. So I'm gonna mix it together, then I'm gonna stop, swipe down the sides one more time, and then mix it together again until it's all combined. And I'll see you then. Alright, so we are gonna add our dry ingredients last. And for those wet ingredients, we mix them well. We mix them really, really well. We want to have one even consistency. For the dry ingredients, we're going to put them in and then we're going to mix them until just combined, which is the baking recipe term for exactly what it sounds like. You only want to mix it until like it's really just kind of one batter. You don't want to overbeat it because otherwise it's going to end up a little soupy, a little more slack than we want it to be. So we are going to do half a teaspoon of salt. Pour that right in there. Please excuse my trash bowl from the eggshells and the bananas. Yeah, half a teaspoon of salt. And because we're going to be mixing this in at the same time as the flour, I'm going to sprinkle it pretty evenly around the bowl. Because I don't want it to get all in one area. Alright, half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So this is a half. We're going to do 2 for 1 teaspoon. Because we know our fractions. So 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is going to help it rise a little bit. 1 teaspoon is a relatively big amount of baking soda. With loaves and like breads, banana bread, carrot bread, morning glory bread, they're pretty dense. So you want to have a good amount of leavener to make it really rise so you don't end up with just like a brick of bleh. No offense to people who like a brick of bleh, but not my favorite. Alright, so we're going to add 1.5 cups of flour. And I'm just going to spoon and level that. So again, like we talked about in the past, scoop it in, shake it out so it's nice and even. There's a lot of stuff on this counter right now, so it's kind of tricky to see everything at once. I apologize on that one. So 1 cup. And then half a cup. And again, you might need another measuring cup. Mine's got the mark, so I'm just going to use the same one. 1.5. A little more. 1.5. Perfect. So 1.5, and then again, if you're doing this by hand, it's even easier because you can really control how evenly things are in there. I'm going to use the mixer, but I'm going to turn it like the slowest it goes. And if you want to take a look, you can see I'm just kind of waiting until it starts to be like one consistency. So see how that flour is getting like sucked into the banana, butter, egg, sugar mixture. The vanilla, yeah, perfect. I'm going to give that like maybe 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. So I'm going to scrape down the sides again. Just going to scrape them down. I'm going to get in the bottom just to make sure it's all together. Because yeah, you can see there's a little bit of the wet mixture that didn't get the flour incorporated into it on the bottom. So yeah, just making sure that's all one dough. Perfect. All right. And if you're going to add chocolate chips or nuts or anything to your banana bread, now would be a good time to add them. And you would just want to kind of fold them in again to not knock too much out of the dough. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get ready to put it in the oven. We're going to take a loaf pan and we're going to grease and flour it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And that's because banana bread and loaves in general can kind of stick to the pan pretty easily. So you really want to make sure that it has that flour and grease butter combination so that it releases easily when you're done. You're not scraping out banana bread with a fork, as much fun as that sounds. So, alright, gonna grab a pan. Alright, so we're gonna grease and flour our pan. And the first part, pretty straightforward. You're gonna take butter, or shortening if you want to use shortening. That works too. My butter is pretty soft right now, so it's gonna go on pretty easily. But you are gonna get just in every nook and cranny with that. Every nook and cranny. And yeah, I'm actually going to use the wrapper of my butter a little bit because this butter might be a little too soft. It was sitting on top of the oven. So I wanted it a little soft, but overshot just a bit. That's a theme with butter today. Yeah, so we're going to get in all those corners. You know what? I'm actually going to show you how to troubleshoot this because I am having trouble with it myself. If you are finding that your butter or shortening is too soft to use smoothly, like I have made a total mess of that, you can take a paper towel or a napkin and use that to kind of get in there a little bit as well. So if you give me 1 sec, I'm going to grab a paper towel to get in there a little better. I'm going to take our paper towel, we're going to get right in there. We're just going to even that out. Yeah, that's a much better level of butter. You know, mistakes happen. It's fine. With that butter being kind of a weird shape now, I'm not really going to be able to slice it too easily, but I can take a spoon of it to help me cook something in a pan later. I can spread it on some bread. Plenty of stuff I can do with it. It's not a lost cause because it's a different shape or anything like that. But yeah, so you can see how I'm getting just in every single corner. I really, really want to make sure that it's completely covered because anywhere that it's not is a place where you could potentially have the bread stick. And that would be unfortunate to put all the effort into making banana bread and then end up having like a banana bread disaster. Alright, so again, every single corner. Really want to take my time so that I don't end up paying for it later. Perfect. So that is the grease part of grease and flour. And I'm going to chuck that because that's gross, but that is the grease part of grease and flour. The flour part, what you are going to do is you're going to take pretty much as much flour as it takes, and you are going to put it in the pan like that. And you're going to shake it around until it coats all the butter. So I usually do this either over the sink or over the trash. I'm going to do it over this for now because I can clean this pretty easily. So I'm just like bopping it around and see how it's sticking to wherever the butter was. So like you can see there's more butter there. Really want to make sure that it's completely coating it. And that combination is going to really, really help to ensure that it doesn't get stuck. One of my favorite recipes, I haven't made in a while. My birthday's coming up in a little less than a month. Maybe I'll make it for my birthday. Is a chocolate cake recipe where you have to grease and flour the pan. And that one, it is really, really important. I only did not do it enough once, and that was enough to do it right every time for the rest of forever, because there is nothing sadder than putting all your effort into a birthday cake for your good friend Zach, who loves chocolate cake, and you just want to give him a cake he deserves because he's such a good friend, and then you take it out of the pan and it just completely falls apart. Yeah. Sorry, Zach. He's fine. He's a well-adjusted individual, I think. Alright, cool. So, yeah, I'm going to put a little too much flour, but again, I'd rather put too much than not enough. Alright, we are going to scoop this right into our loaf pan. Yeah, it's pretty wet, so you want to kind of try and guide it as much as you can. I love rubber spatulas for a lot of reasons. But this is a perfect time to use one because you'll be able to really kind of guide the batter with it and which direction you want it to be going. You're really able to like scrape down the sides and get every last little bit too. That when I make something that involves any kind of dough, I usually end up using a rubber spatula to get like just those little bits left on the sides. Whether it's cookie dough or cake or what, pretty consistently. Alright, so that's in there nice and evenly. Perfect. Fine. So we have our oven is still working on preheating to 350 degrees. Once that's all set, we're going to slide this in and we're going to make it for 55 minutes, which is long, but it's worth it. With loaves, like I said before, the dough is going to be pretty dense. So what that means is that it's basically really, really thick, and there's not a whole lot of space between the different parts of it, between the different parts of the bread. So it's going to take a low temperature and a long time to bake fully, because if it's any higher, it's going to burn if you did it for the same amount of time. If it's any higher and shorter, then the outside's going to burn, the inside's going to be raw. So low and slow is what we want to do for loaves all the time. So 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 55 minutes, and I'll see you then. All right, our timer just went off, so we're going to take out our banana bread. Let's see how it came out. It's pretty far back there. Yes, awesome. So yeah, you can see how it domed up nicely. We got that little bit of a crack on top, which means that it's probably pretty well baked inside. Alright, so it's too early to tell if it's tucked to the sides anywhere, but I'm going to let it cool, and then once the time is right, we will turn it out. See you soon. Alright, our bread has cooled down, so we're going to go ahead and flip it. You can either, depending on how much you care about touching it, you can either put a plate over it, or you can just use your hand, which is what I'm going to do. And yes, that came out perfectly. So yeah. You can see there's a couple spots where there's a little flour left over. That's fine, it's not really going to affect the taste. Gonna plop that right there. And yeah, I'm just going to slice right into it. So you can see how well it baked. Yeah, perfect. So you can see, like, you know, it's cooked all the way through. The outside is like just baked enough that it's not burnt, but it's got that nice kind of crisp on it just a little bit. But yeah, that came out really, really well. And that is how you make banana bread.